Hi, this is Sue from the Mountain Canary Company. Ed's going to talk to you about how we set up our britchen on our riding saddles. Go ahead, Ed.
Good morning, folks. I got a request on Facebook to show folks how we set our britchen up in a discussion. Somebody popped up and says, well, Ed, tell us about how you do it. Well, okay, I started and I wrote it out, kind of give them a quick note on it. Then I said, you know, this is extensive and I'm not going to write another book. So watch for YouTube, and here we are. We're watching for YouTube. Now we've got a really good helper here. This is Darla. Darla is out of a plum dry quarter horse mare and a real good jack named Okie Billy. She's a sweet girl, really sweet. She's my spare tire for riding with if I'm not riding Monty. Okay, let's go down with some nomenclature on this. Start with you're going to have a holdback. This holdback for me, going between the spider pad and the saddle, is many cases twofold. I usually have two of them. This case I use one. You can do one or two. This is simpler for me because I set it up in several saddles. I have to move it back and forth from saddles at times, animals at times. So it's easier to do one. And also, while we're here, if you'll notice, I use a buckle here. And as you know, I've mentioned about buckles, so I'm not fond of them. And instead of, normally I use slides, which you'll see down the side here. But in this case, I use a buckle. Because again, it's because I have to flop it back and forth at times. And here's the buckle I use. This buckle is really a nice little roller buckle. It's 1 inch. You see the space down here? This is where you hook your strap to. Sew it down. You don't have to make any splits for the tongue at all. So you just sew this on, and then you'll have to burn your holes. Much simpler buckle. Okay, moving on. We've got the spider pad. Next to the spider pad, we have the spider straps coming down. We have one in the back, which is the main adjustment, and one in the front, which is our tilt adjustment. Okay, so. And coming down, we'll go down to the britchen strap itself. This one is made for me by some Amish fellas. I get it from Chimicum Tack. Very reasonable price. It's got a really good neoprene, perforated neoprene, held on with a beta strap in the middle. Works great, lasts forever, has very little wear and tear on it, very little. And the hardware is all stainless steel. Now, going forward from that is the main tug. This tug I have, in this case, goes up and catches underneath and hooks onto the main girth, which holds back. Now, that holds back this way. At the same time, this is holding back from this way. And at the same time, this girth is holding up and stopping the saddle from also going forward or tilting up. This is a very stable saddle setup. This can be set up in other places. Here's another common spot. It's hooked. I've got some saddles I have to hook it here. But this one I can go up for it and catch it there. Let me drop this back down again. Okay. Now you'll put the saddle on, you get all your straps in line, then you'll have to come back and check to make sure that your strap is in the right place. How you do that is you find the widest, take my pointer out of the way, you'll find the widest spot in the hip and the narrow spot in the hip, which is right here and right about here. If you can't find that spot, just lift the leg up forward and it'll pop and you'll see it move out. It's right about here. You can put a piece of tape on it if you want to. You'll measure from here to there. Okay? In this case, it comes out to be about 20 inches. Okay, now this 20 inches, then you measure back, down again, from that spot. And that should put you, come here, thumb, hold it. That should put you 10 inches, should be right in the center of that strap. Right in the center should be 10 inches. Now if that's set up that way, then you're going to balance. Now, the next thing to look at Now, if you got that balanced, this is the strap that's balancing that, remember? Coming up and down. Oh, I forgot. The spider strap should be set up a good hand's width ahead of the dock of the tail. There's the dock of the tail, right here. And you should be a good hand's width set up from there. Now, you've got the double spider straps. All that can look just a little different, but approximately hand's width. Now, we're going to move forward here. And again, this is your main tug. That should be set up so that when you pull back, you can see it taking attention. And you should have approximately, and she's not staring square for me because I've got her hobbled. You should have a hand's width. Hand's width between the two of them. It's a slight, it's loose, not tight, not a grip, just flat fingers in there. Now, this strap helps to hold back on the girth up here in the front. See, we've got quite a bit of room here for her, between her girth, front of the girth, and her and behind her leg. And that's something I'm going to watch because this is a relatively new saddle setup on her. I'm going to watch for that carefully. If I get any rubbing showing, I need to make a thinner cinch, and I put a gust tug on it, which will hold back even more so. That's another game someday for you. Okay, now coming back here again, we'll take her for a walk. We'll take a look. What is this at this point? Where is this? Step back to the side. What's going to happen to this strap? You want this strap to come up to flat against her leg as that leg strides back. As it strides back, you want that strap to come up against that leg flat. Now, if it doesn't, you see it's nice and flat right now. But if it tips up or down, here's the adjustment you get. Now watch how that changes that. Now watch down here on this, Sue, right here. Watch when I pick this up, how that changes, how this loosens up at the top. When I pick this up, this tightens at the bottom. So there is the control. This is the control for that strap's flat against her leg. So once you set your bitchin' up, you got to make sure you take her for a walk. Have somebody lead her, and you walk behind her. And you walk behind, put your hand in behind the leg that come into contact, making sure you don't have excessive pressure. And then watch how this leg touches that britchen. Now, when you set these tugs up, another thing to remember is get back here and give it a pull. The main tug should come up tighter than this reserve tug. The main tug should be slightly tighter than this. If it doesn't, it tends to twist the saddle for some reason. Now, if you're riding and all of a sudden you've it's getting sored up, you can tighten that up and you have to tighten it up exact, or you're going to twist your saddle again. So you've got to pay attention to all of these little things. They all work together. This is not just one strap does it. One gets off, the whole world can turn upside down. Yeah. So I suggest that you get a tape measure, throw it in cut it off to a length that's your maximum length of everything you've got. Cut it off, put that in your saddlebag. Take it with you. Or I'll tell you what works really pretty good is a piece of string will work just as good. String will work just as good as we've set them up on string before. We forgot that. Okay, let me think. Darla, what am I doing here? You get to it? It's all important to keep this saddle in place. Keep it so it doesn't move too far forward. You can check that by running your hands underneath here and feeling where your pressure points are. Paying attention, always pay attention, always check. It's not a bad idea a couple times a year. If you're using them a lot to check, they can lose weight. If they're sitting around all winter, they gain weight. There's a lot to be considered here. Yeah. So I hope that helps you, folks. I hope that answers that question those folks had on that website. Let me think here. I think that pretty much covers it all for the Breeching. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of me. You can phone me or email me or whatever you want. I'll answer anything, except late for supper. And, okay. Sue, add something to that?
No, I think you went through it pretty well.
Okay, dear. If you don't have to agree with me all the time.
Definitely not going to do that.
So thank you very much, folks, for coming by. And please ride as often as you can. Get out there, enjoy it, and please ride safely. We'll see you later today.